Hi, this is Jim Belisle with the Boots and Whiskey Podcast, and you're streaming the Melodies and Memories Podcast with Jillian Aaron Schreiber.
Welcome to the Melodies and Memories Podcast with Jillian and Aaron Schreiber, brought to you by Arlo Revolution. Each week, they connect melodies and memories with fans and singer-songwriters from all genres of life. When all else in life is gone, music will be left to lead the legacy of life's adventures. Please welcome your hosts of the Melodies and Memories Podcast, Jillian and Aaron Schreiber.
All right. How's everybody doing tonight? Everybody's saying no sound. Are you guys?
I think I have sound on my end, so I think we have sound. Now give us a thumbs up if you guys are good.
Maybe.
I think I got a little excited and I was like, here we go. And we weren't quite live. We weren't.
Wait, what do you think you?
I think I.
You unmute.
Can you guys hear us now?
You
I think we're
unmute the
good.
board.
Yeah, we're getting some.
Well, this is where we kind of warm up and we get our sound going and we make sure everybody could hear it before we actually start the show.
I was just excited. I guess I was like, all right, let's go.
The woman behind the board over there. So the intro video that normally plays, we used to have sound behind that. But Facebook likes to boot you after a while, so you only can have so many.
Live music on Facebook,
you can only have so many seconds of music, and then they'll boot you because I don't know, copyright BS. But
you know all that jazz.
All right, I think we're sounding good though. You ready? Ready to rock?
Yeah,
roll?
we're good.
All right.
Was that my cue?
That's your cue.
That's my cue. All right, here we go. A little rusty, guys. Hello and welcome everyone to the season 7 of Melodies and Memories podcast. I'm your co-host Jillian Schreiber.
And I'm your host Aaron Schreiber.
Our mission tonight is to provide a platform for motivated singer-songwriters, passionate fans, or someone who is making a difference in and around the music community. We hope everyone listening leaves inspired with a positive outlook and begins connecting their own melodies to memories. Tonight we're presented by our good friends at Arlo Revolution, cinematic wedding films, music videos, and promos. Find them at arlorevolution.com. One tree planted. For every 1,000 downloads of the show, we plant a tree. With one tree planted, download the show on your favorite podcast app and Poddex. Poddex is the hottest tool to get your next great interview questions, unique interview questions in the palm of your hand. And our on-screen sponsors, Art on a Higher Wire by Joelle. Original and custom artwork inspired by your life moments, treasured photos and memories. If you're looking for ways to support the show, Melodies and Memories Music Media, then please head on over to our Patreon page where tiers start at just $1 a month. If Patreon is something that you can't do, the next best way to support our show is to like, share, review, and subscribe. Remember, you can join us live every Monday night at 7 p.m. On Facebook and YouTube, where you can interact with the show, ask questions, or join in on our live chat with your favorite guests. Remember to visit our website, melodiesandmemories.com, for music news, concert reviews, and photos, playlists, and more.
All right. I'm ready. I'm excited for the show tonight.
Me too.
There's a little connection that I was trying to jump on. I don't know why my camera wasn't working. Like when you were talking to him before the show.
Sure.
I was trying to jump on, but we'll have to talk about this connection here in a minute. So it's gonna be an exciting one. But tonight we welcome on Derek Jones for episode 152. Navy vet, singer, songwriter, and country rock outlaw. There's not much that Derek Jones can't do. The singer songwriter is one of the hardest working in country music, and tonight we are honored to discuss the melodies and memories that make up his journey. We're gonna go ahead and welcome Derek on. There we go. All right.
Hey,
what's up, buddy? How you doing?
How you doing?
Good. If you don't mind, can you scoot back just a little bit, or scoot your camera back a little bit? We see from the nose to the beard. That's a badass beard, though. I gotta tell you that.
You may have to take the camera down.
Been working on this thing for 42 years.
Let's see. All right. Can you tilt your phone? Are you on your phone? Just tilt your phone up a little bit. I still see just from the nose to the guitar a little bit.
You want me to go up?
Yep. There we go. Now we can see. There we go. Now we can see you. I just want to make sure I can see your eyes, buddy. All right. So, dude, welcome to the show. We are excited to have you. So, I got to tell you, before we really get into everything and we throw everything back, the connection we have is Billy Ray Cyrus, the funniest thing. So, I want to dig into that. I'm a huge Eric Church fan. Everything you see behind me is Eric Church. But before Eric Church, I was a huge Billy Ray Cyrus fan. I've seen him in concert probably about 80 to 100 times. But this is between 97 to like probably 2004. So it's right before I think you probably joined on. But we'll dig into that down the road. I want to start this and throw this way back to kind of your earliest music memory, man. Kind of like what you remember growing up, maybe what your parents are playing, just kind of when you first really connected with some music.
Man,
So my parents had such good taste in music. But I grew up surrounded by live music as well. My grandma played the organ in the church, and she sang in the choir. My dad sang in the church choir, and he was a drummer, one of the most incredible drummers that I've ever watched play. And we always had music going, even when we were sitting at the supper table. We always had a CD playing or a record on. And I say this at some of my shows, that if my dad had control of what was being played, we listened to a lot of Marshall Tucker, Allman Brothers, Grand Funk Railroad, Doobie Brothers.
Oh yeah, dude.
Stuff like that. Charlie Daniels, Skinner. If my mom had control of it, if it was her night, then we listened to a lot of like Lionel Richie, Billy Idol, Billy Joel, Elton John, Jackson 5, stuff like that. So I grew up with kind of just a massive wide spectrum of what I consider good music. Now, people always say, like, do you like rap? Do you like country? Do you like that? I just like good music. That's it.
Yeah. That's how I am too. There's
Our
really
houses.
no genres,
we listen to
really.
literally almost everything you can think of in our house.
I think I got on your car the other day and you had a Christian radio station.
I
I'm
did.
like, okay, this is new.
Dude, hey, I love like Zach Williams radio on Spotify or Lauren Daigle, like all that's it's such good music. Everything's good music that I listen to. I hope anyway. At least I think it's good.
Something you got young kids, right? Something that we were talking about, just good, feel good music. Check out Imagine Dragons. If you've never checked those guys out, that's a band for kids, man, that I think are just amazing in their message. So talking about good music, that's one that I always like to throw out there. But dude, so you had no country growing up, and what I read about you, you didn't like country music growing up at all, did you?
Oh my dude, I hate it. I had a bumper sticker on my car that said, discourage inbreeding, ban country music.
That's one I have not seen.
I did. I hated country music, but what's odd was about my senior year in high school, my dad and I would go hunting together, and he started listening to like Don Williams a lot and getting into like the storytelling country with Don Williams and stuff like that. And that's when I was kind of like, yeah, I guess this isn't too bad. And then it just seemed like the older I got, the more that I like appreciated country music and for what it was for, like the storytelling and a lot of like, oh, I can connect to that. I can connect to that.
So we like always talking about people's first concerts. Do you remember like kind of your first concert? Do you have a cool story from it, or who was it?
Man, I used to go to, do you remember Ozfest?
Yes, dude.
So,
we're probably about the same age. I was born in 82. We're probably around the same age. So
yep, I was born in 80.
All right.
And I think probably my first concert I was probably 15. And for whatever reason, my parents let me go to Ozfest. and it was the year White Zombie was there, Tool was there. I think Pantera was there, Rage Against the Machine, Limp Bizkit. And so that's kind of like once I got into high school and started to develop my own taste in music, that's kind of where I fell into. I loved the hard rock, the metal. I loved everything that came out of Seattle as far as like the grunge with Pearl Jam and Stone Temple Pilots and Temple the Dog, stuff like that.
See, I was a big Stain guy. So like a couple years later, I fell into Stain, dude, really big. And I like, that's kind of like, I connect you a little bit. Like now these days with Aaron Lewis in a way, I see a little Aaron Lewis vibe from you. So that's why I kind of was, when I was digging into this, like, yeah, he was definitely a rocker. What do you think about Pantera getting back together?
That's not.
What's your thoughts on that? No, that's what I feel too. Even though Zach Wild's on them, it's still awesome. But
for real, having Zach Wild, I mean that's a highlight. That's a reason to go in itself. I think just to watch him. But I mean, it's kind of like I don't know, man. It'd be like if Stone Temple Pilots got together and they're like, oh, we're doing a reunion show. It's just hard.
It's weird. It's weird to see what happens because I mean, I was a diehard Pantera fan too, man. Back in the day, I still have a T-shirt that I actually looked on eBay and selling for like $400, but it's like the Great Southern Trendkill shirt.
Yeah,
I'm like, I still rock it every now and then, but I love that because my first concert was Kiss, so my first concert was a rock concert too, and I was just blown away by the aspect of it and just everything around it. And
Right.
I guess Ozfest, you would have a really big takeaway too, and have seen all those bands. And
Oh yeah. Yeah,
I love
got
that.
to see a
Experience.
lot of bands.
So after you went to high school and everything, you weren't really playing any music yet. You went off to the Navy for 4 or 5 years, right? Or how many years were you in the Navy for?
So I joined the Navy in 99, and then I got out in 2003. And yeah, I had played the drums in high school.
Okay.
But what's odd is, like, when you're growing up and everybody's like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Dude, legit, man, I had 2 dreams. Well, I had 3 dreams, really. And I'll tell you, the third one's I'll tell you about that one. But anyway, I wanted to be either a professional football player, which I'm 5'9", if that, and I'm 185 pounds soaking wet. So there was no way that was going to happen. Or I wanted to be a rock star.
Hell yeah.
Those were my 2 dreams as a kid. And then my third dream was to have a family, the white picket fence and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man.
Man, I feel, I don't know that I'm a rock star, but I get to do this for a living, and I got the white picket fence. So both of my dreams came true, and that's by the grace of God, man.
I love that, man. I definitely love that. 'Cause I can tell you're a family man, and I know you have 2 young kids, right? How old are your kids?
So we've got, I'm engaged. Megan and I have 2 kids together.
Nice. Congrats.
And then she's got 2 from a previous marriage. So, I mean, but they're my kids.
Yeah, y'all have a full
I
house.
love them the same, man. So we've got a 14-year-old boy, Madden. Then we've got a 10-year-old girl, Maylee. We got a 3-year-old daughter named Stevie. And then we got another 2-year-old daughter named Vivi Lee. So
how do you find the time to play music again?
Man, I'll tell you, the true rock star is Megan. That's the true rock star.
No,
She holds the board down.
I hands down, we got 2 kids too, and I'm honestly, that's the rock star in our family sitting right here. So
Right. Yeah, it takes a tough woman to deal with the 4 kids when I'm gone all the time.
So tell me a little bit about your time in the Navy, because I mean, we haven't really talked much. We had an astronaut on once, but we haven't really had many vets on. I guess we haven't really had anything. Would you do it all over again if you had to?
In a heartbeat.
Oh, hell yeah, man!
If they called me tomorrow and said, "Hey, we're either going to implement the draft or you can go," I'd go. I'd be gone. But yeah, I loved it, man. I loved everything about the military. What's funny is, then I thought I hated it. Yeah, I couldn't wait to get out. I couldn't wait to get back with my friends. All my buddies were in college and all hanging out and partying together. And I thought, man, I'm getting out, and that's why I'm getting out. Looking back now, man, that was an incredible time, and I loved it, man. I'd do it again in a heartbeat.
Were you stationed anywhere while you're in there? Where were you at?
Yeah, I was stationed in San Diego for 4 years.
Okay.
And I did 4 years on a ship called the USS Duluth, LPD-6. I basically worked on the engines on these ships, these massive engines, man, like 13,000 horsepower engines. They were huge. You could walk on them. When we worked on them, we had to legit walk on them. They were massive, man.
What's one of the hardest things being at sea for so long and being out there and being gone from kind of like the mainland?
But I would say the hardest thing about being gone is just, we worked a lot, especially with my job. So when we were gone, we'd leave for 6 months. And for 6 months, we'd do 6 hours on, 6 hours off, 6 hours on, 6 hours off, 6 hours. And it was like that for 6 months. And it was very draining. And then the other part too is just like, when you're out to sea for so long and you don't see land for months, it starts to take its toll. I always tell a story, man. When I was I wanted to do this little self challenge of how long I could go without going outside.
Ooh,
and I think I made it about 2 months without seeing the light of day.
Oh wow, man! I can imagine just being out and gone for that long. Yeah, it's wild, man. Well, hey, man, we thank you for your service, honestly, because that's something tough. My dad was in the Army, and he tells me stories all the time. I think his stories is what diverted me elsewhere. I'm gonna say it now. I'm going that way, but I mean, one of the coolest stories he told me is like he was stationed in Germany one time, and they paid $10 to see this band. They didn't know who it was, and this is around right before the Vietnam War, and all of a sudden the Rolling Stones rose up. And it was Rolling. You got to see the Rolling Stones way back in the when
they were like nobody.
Yeah, I'm like that would have been cool as hell, dude.
They were the Rolling Pebbles.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So it's always cool to hear different stories and everything, man. But yeah, thank you again for your service. So after the Navy, is that when you first kind of picked up a guitar and really decided, hey, I'm going to go for this rock star thing, or?
Yeah, 100%. Well, originally, while I was in the Navy, I was still kind of playing the drums, and I had met this guy that played guitar. We were getting out at the exact same time, and he lived in California, and he's like, man, dude, let's start a band. And I'm like, oh, I'm in. I'll get out. I'm getting out. We'll just live together.
Yeah, man,
we'll put our nose to the grindstone and make this thing happen. And at that time, you know, I was still 21, 22, maybe. And I called my mom. I said, Mom, I think I'm staying in California to do this rock band thing. She said, like, hell you are. You're coming home.
Yeah, you've been gone for 4 years.
Yeah.
For real. So I was like, all right. I said, I'll come home. So I ended up coming home and found out real quick that a lot of these places that are looking for, they're hiring. You can't get a job without some kind of piece of paper, some kind of degree.
Yeah.
And so I thought, well, I might as well go to college. I've got my GI Bill. They're going to pay for it. So I started going to college, and I was living with two of my buddies. We had parties quite a bit, probably too much.
Where'd you go to college at?
So I went to a little community college here in Muncie, Indiana called Ivy Tech.
Okay.
Went for fabrications and machine installations. At that point, I thought I was going to build choppers because that's when, you know, Orange County Choppers was real big.
Yeah,
I loved bikes, and I was like, oh, I'm going to go to school for fabrication and welding and start building bikes. And my brain's like a pinball machine. So while I was in college, two of my other buddies would come over to the house to our parties, and they would bring their guitars. And man, I would just sit here and watch them play, and they just played. They didn't sing. And I just fell in love with it. And I thought, my God, if I could ever learn how to play guitar, I've never put it down. And probably a couple weeks later, I went out, bought me a guitar, and they kind of helped me. And I was learning to sing at the same time and taught myself how to play and sing pretty much. About maybe 6-7 months later, I walked into a bar that was having this open jam session, played a few songs, and
said, here I am.
Dude, I was hooked. I was hooked right after that.
That's cool.
Did you ever try to go down to Nashville at all and chase anything down there?
Man, I lived in Nashville for about 10 years.
Yeah.
I did. Once I started playing that bar gig, what's funny is that was an open jam they had at this place called the Mr. Mouse every Thursday. Yeah. And I'd go there every Thursday and just play my 7-8 songs that I learned that week. And then I'd come back and play some more that I learned. I'll never forget, the owner of the place sat me down. She said, hey, Derek, we're starting to get people call up here wanting to know if that guy's going to be up here playing.
That's cool.
Really? And she goes, yeah. And she said, how would you like to just have your own night?
Nice.
And I was like, what do you mean have my own night? She's like, what if we just advertise Derek Jones every Tuesday? And I was like, oh, I'm in.
Awesome.
So then she asked that one question that I never dreamed of. She said, well, how much money do you want to get paid? And at that time, you know, I wasn't even thinking about really making money at it. Yeah. I was just having fun. And I said, God, I don't know. And she goes, well, how about we give you $50, a free meal and free drinks? And man, I thought I was George Strait. I did. I thought I was George Strait.
That's your first
right?
paying gig. That's a pretty pretty good gig for your first paying gig.
Hey, it pays a lot more than places down in Nashville.
Yeah.
Tell you that. But
yeah, I'm sure you probably could have drank that in a heartbeat. I know back in my drinking days, I could have.
Right, for sure. Yeah, they paid me $50, but I had a $200 bar tab that they were sucking up.
They knew that. They weren't no fool. No.
Right. So that's kind of where it started, man. And there'd be another bar owner that would come in and watch me, and they're like, "Hey, I own Buddy's place over here. want you to come play at my bar. And I thought, well, if she's giving me 50, can I get 100? Yeah, we'll give you $100 for 4 hours. And then I just kept like,
going from there.
Next person that approached me, I'd be like, give me 150. And then I started playing for like Buffalo Wild Wings.
Nice, man.
I started kind of writing my own songs. And then
I was going to ask, when did songwriting come into play?
I wrote a lot of poems growing up in high school and stuff.
Yeah, sure.
What's funny is when I was in the Navy, I used to write a lot, and I would have guys want me to write their wives letters.
Yes.
And pretend like they wrote them. So I would say, like, give me all the details about your wife. How tall is she? What's her eyebrow? What's her eye color, hair color? What's she
I hope
love?
you charged them. Did you charge them?
I did not, but I
You
did.
should have charged them.
You could do that with songs now. Just like, dude, that is awesome.
Hopefully none of your Navy buddies are listening, or at least not their
Yeah,
wives.
at least not their wives.
Right.
Like, wasn't you that wrote me that? All right.
But 3 guys are getting divorced now.
Right.
Well, that's cool, man. So what got you into really writing poetry? Because I kind of wrote little stories and poems when I was younger, and I write every now and then, but I haven't wrote for years. But I think poetry really is just songs. I mean, Shel Silverstein, he's a songwriter too, and he's wrote some of the biggest poems and books ever.
Right. Yep. I don't really have an idea how I got into writing poetry. I know as a kid, I used to love writing stories, like very far-fetched stories.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, that that's kind of maybe what connected me later in my life to country music.
Okay.
Was just the stories that are in country music that are very relatable. And then once I learned how to play guitar, I would take some of these stories, or I would take some of these poems and just see if I could put music behind it. And I did. And then I had a band while we were up here. And oddly enough, we would play shows and people would request like the original stuff. And I thought, man, I feel like there's something here. And if I'm going to do this, I need to go to Nashville and really chase this thing. Cause I'm the type of person that I don't want to leave any stone unturned. And I don't want to be 55 years old working in a factory with that, man, what if I tried? What if I just would have tried? That could have been, should have been. Man, I'm going to try it and I'm going to give it my all. And I'm not going to have a backup plan because it's either going to be this or I'm screwed.
Yeah. I love that, man. And honestly, you went down there and killed it because you ended up meeting who I think is a future legend in country music. Because is that around the time you met Billy Ray too while you were down there?
Yeah. So I moved to Nashville in 2010, I believe, 2009, 2010, somewhere right around in there. And then I started working with Billy in 2015, I believe. Okay. And they always say Nashville is like a 5 to 10 year town.
Yeah.
And I had met Billy right at my 5-year mark, and we started working together a little bit, writing and recording some stuff together.
How'd you guys get hooked up?
So oddly enough, I was playing a show at a place called Puckett's out in Leapers Fork, Tennessee. And was doing a writer's round. So it's where you just play all original stuff and tell the stories behind it. Mm-hmm. And this guy had approached me afterwards. He's like, oh, hey, man, I really, really like your sound and your style. I was like, right on. And he kind of looked at me, and it was one of those, like, do you not know who I am kind of looks, you know what I mean? Like, I felt like I should have recognized him, but I didn't. But anyway, this guy was a television host on a show on Discovery Channel. It was called Fisher's ATV World. His name was Brian Fisher.
Okay.
And he's like, we're getting ready to do this rebrand, and we're relaunching our show. Would you be interested in writing me a song?
Nice.
So I'm like, yeah, man, I'll write you a song. What's it about? What do you do? And I just started getting really heavy into off-roading with ATVs, side-by-sides, four-wheelers, because I wanted to understand what I'm writing about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I wrote them the song. We recorded it. They had used it as their intro to the show. And they were having a fan appreciation party out in Pennsylvania. They had hired me and Tyler Farr to come out and play this fan appreciation party. After the show, we're all sitting around this big bonfire, this big giant is right to my right, sitting by the fire with me, and he kind of nudges me, and he's like, "What'd you say? Where'd you say you live again?" I said, "White Bluff, Tennessee, just outside of Nashville." He's like, "Oh, I live out in Thompson Station." We became instant best friends. He's a cameraman for this show. And we hit it off like you wouldn't believe, became my best friend. And it just happened to be Billy Ray's little brother, Mick Atkins.
Oh, nice, dude.
And it took Mick about a year, maybe a year and a half before I think he saw that, okay, he's taking this very serious. And then he made the connection with his brother. And then that was it, man. I met Billy. One of the
that's where his
guys.
property was at Thompson Square or Thompson Station out there.
Yep, Thompson Station.
He has that big property out there. We were out there one time checking it out, and he was out there with little Noah on the 4-wheeler. This is back when she was, I don't know how old she was, but they were out just waving to everybody. That's what people I don't think really understood about Billy Ray. He one of the nicest guys in the industry, man. He would do anything for anybody. Yep. And this is stuff that I've learned from him. What was some of your takeaways spending some time with him, man? And what was kind of your favorite song playing? See, I kind of knew his original band, Sly Dog. I knew them real well. Yeah. So like Michael Joe Saygraves was in that band, and Terry Shelton and a couple other guys. Corky was their bass player. So I got to know all those guys real well. And I really didn't see much of Billy Ray after that. I think that's when right after we got married and started having kids, and we didn't really get to help much anymore.
Right.
Because they were really young. But man, what was some takeaways you had playing with them, and your favorite song, man, playing out on the road? Man, other than Achy Breaky, because that one's always fun.
Yeah, that was a blast. What's funny is Billy was asking about, I had let him listen to a record that I was working on.
Nice.
And my best friend was the producer on. His name's Chris Condon. And I kept telling Chris, like, man, I want Billy to hear you play. You guys would hit it off. So I gave Billy this demo, and the first thing he said was, "Man, who's that on guitar?" And I was like, "Oh, it's my best friend Chris." "Who's that on the drums?" I'm like, these are my buddies. "I want to use your guys. We'll share a band. We'll go on the road together." And so he legit hired my best friends as his band, and man, we took off and hit the road.
Dude, that is awesome.
Dude, I'll never forget the first show we played. We broke out into Achy Breaky Heart, and I look over at my buddy Chris, and we both instantly just started laughing so hard because neither one of us thought we'd ever move to Nashville and be in Billy Ray Cyrus's band playing Achy Breaky Heart.
One of the biggest songs ever. I mean,
for real.
Earth from Friends in Low Places. I mean, that's
right
because it's so iconic.
Yeah, that intro, like it's so.
And he's doing his little dancing moves out there, probably still to this day.
Right. But probably my favorite song that we played, I loved joining him with Some Gave All.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of my favorite songs. Now, one of my favorite songs that we never played was his other song called We Fought Hard.
Yeah.
Man, that's a tearjerker song. And I think just because I'm a veteran and I can relate to that song about losing a brother and losing, your friends overseas. That one hit hard.
My favorite was Words by Heart. I love that song.
It's a good one.
And I can totally see, man, because that's when like I grew up kind of like talking about old, like listening to like, what your parents listened to. My mom was country, my dad was rock and roll. So like I had the Aerosmith, I had the Vince Gill and stuff. And when I saw Billy Ray, I felt like we were seeing a little bit of both of that. So that's how I feel like you would fit right in that band, dude, because he rocks, dude. He does get out there and he plays pretty hard. So I mean, he had a rock band for a little bit too. So
he sure did.
That's what was awesome. So I know, which we had it was a badass band, dude. Yep. What made you finally make the jump, though? I mean, you out there with your best friends, playing with Billy Ray Cyrus. I mean, having probably the time of your life. And what made you finally say, "Okay, I can't do this"?
Can't do what? Working full time?
No, I just can't be. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do the band thing anymore. I want to do me again. Like I want to be
an individual.
I want to be a solo artist again.
So, to be honest, man, and to be like, I'm an honest guy, dude. I have no filter. The whole time I was with Billy, he treated me like a brother, and I mean like a brother. I did holidays with the family, Thanksgiving, Christmas spent with the family. Treated me like a brother. I I was getting a little discouraged with the way I was being managed as far as my music, because I am a solo artist.
Yeah.
I'm not Billy's guitar player.
Yep.
And every show that we did in 4 years, I was never really marketed. I was never advertised as Billy Ray Cyrus with Derek Jones. And that started to bother me a little bit. And I had some questions to management, like, hey, why am I not being advertised? Like, I legit open the show up and I just walk out on stage. I get no introduction. These people think
you were out there opening too every night for him.
Yeah. So that was the thing, is I wasn't really his guitar player at all. I would come out on stage with just me and a guitar, and I would play about 4 songs.
Nice.
And then I would introduce Billy, and I'd walk off the stage, and I'd come back out, on and off throughout the entire set to keep playing.
Yeah.
And
that's totally different.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we did, some incredible stuff. We played the Opry. We did the Today Show. We did Good Morning.
Bridgestone too or something?
Say again?
Did you play Bridgestone too in Nashville too?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
dude. You guys were everywhere.
For the volunteer jam. And I just kept thinking, like, why am I not being advertised? Like,
yeah, what
is happening?
It's your brand too, man.
Yep. And it got to the point where I was getting very discouraged. And I had met Megan, and she was, pregnant with our first child at the time. And I was just really struggling with what to do. I wasn't happy touring with him anymore, not because of him, but because of the way I was being, what I felt mismanaged. Yeah, so we were, Megan and I kept talking, like, I don't know what to do. I'd be dead in the water. And we were out in Vegas. We had a residency at a casino out there, and I had scheduled a photo shoot for my own self. And we were out in the desert, and the photographer brought a skateboard, and I hopped on the skateboard, and the skateboard hopped off of me. And I ended up breaking my arm and had to have surgery and put pins and cables in my elbow.
Oh man.
And that's when they let me go from the tour. So I felt like that was God intervening to make the decision that I would never make.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep.
And since then, man, my career has, honestly, it's exploded. It's
amazing.
It's been fantastic.
Yeah. It was a good learning experience, dude.
For sure.
Mean, just being out there with him too. But I mean, not just being musical, just from like learning how the road works too.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, like the amount of things that I learned and processed, like just from like lingo of like load in, load out.
Yeah.
All this stuff that I had no idea when we first bus call. I had no idea what bus call was. None of this stuff. And I can remember, man, probably the biggest thing that I learned from Billy was I was on the phone. We were on the bus headed to a show, and I was on the phone, and I had it on speakerphone, and this guy had called. It was a buddy of mine. He's like, hey, we're wanting to do this benefit up in Indiana. You think you could come up and play it? I'm like, yeah, man, I'll come up and play it. It's not a problem. And he's like, okay, what would you charge? And I'm like, dude, I'm not, it's a benefit. I'm not going to charge you anything. I just want to do it to help you out. And we hung up the phone, and Billy grabs my leg, and he said, Brother Jones, can I ask you a question? I said, yeah, what's up? He goes, how many of those benefits you think you do a year? I said, oh, a lot. I said, any chance I get, I try and do a benefit. He goes, you do them all for free? I said, well, yeah, it's a benefit. And he goes, that doesn't matter. He said, Jones, I'm telling you, and this is going to sound terrible. He goes, I'm telling you, if you don't make music about the money, you're never going to make a living at it. If you're going to take this serious and it's going to be your job, you have to make it about the money. And if those people love you and want to support you, they should be more than happy to pay you for your service.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And since he said that, and something rang, and I remember I went back to Nashville, and I was like, not playing for you anymore, not playing at your bar anymore, not playing here anymore, because you guys aren't paying, and I'm not playing for free.
Yeah, dude. Hey, he's right. Sometimes you guys have a little backbone. I mean, in a way. Because I'm the same way too.
I was just
I'm the same way.
I think it's knowing your own worth.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that you don't want to do people favors and you don't want to.
I'm always doing favors
Aaron's
for people
always
all
like,
the time.
let me know. I'll do this for you. And I'm like,
I do photography as like a side thing, and everybody's like, well, I'll jump at it. I'm like, I'll do this for you. No problem.
And he doesn't charge anybody. And I'm like, you know what though? Like, it's a one thing to do a favor for somebody, but like you have to know your own worth. And if you're good at something, they're gonna pay you. And it's your living. Like they're doing things to make a living. You have to do things to make a living too. You had a wife and a baby, and like, you know, it'd be nice to do things for everybody, but you gotta know your own worth, you know?
I agree 100%.
Well, that's great advice. I mean,
right. Whiskey Riff. I don't know if you guys follow them on Facebook or not.
They're based originally out of Chicago.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Well, they just put out an interview where they interviewed Sturgill Simpson.
Okay.
And they asked Sturgill, can you give an aspiring musician some advice that wants to move to Nashville? And his advice, and I cannot agree more, is don't move to Nashville.
Yeah.
Get you a van, load up, and start touring and going state to state, going anywhere you can to play and build a fan base.
Yep.
I don't know if you get into a lot of this guy. His name's Charles Wesley Godwin. I don't know if you listen to him at all. Out West Virginia, and he's the same way. He's like, I ain't moving to Nashville. I'm going to stay in West Virginia and do my thing. And dude, he's got hooked up with Zach Bryan, and he's blowing up right now.
Oh yeah, he's huge right now.
Yeah, dude.
A lot of the artists that we talk to, the independent artists that just kind of do their thing and tour and build their fan base from the ground up, that grassroots, like those are the people that are doing really well.
Nashville better be careful. They're going to lose
fans
it to
are
bachelorette
loyal.
parties.
You know, a lot of fans are loyal. They'll follow, you know.
Yeah.
And I think it shows them who you are, gives
People are
you an
gonna go
opportunity.
see you anywhere. They're not going to go to Nashville to see you.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I couldn't agree more.
To me, the thing with Nashville is it will always be a huge city with tons of people. They're not there specifically to see music. They're there to party. They're there to have fun. Dude, I've got a buddy, one of my closest friends plays Broadway 6 nights a week. And he says, dude, I play for 30,000 people almost every single night. And not a single one of them will wake up and remember who I am.
No. They won't even remember how many drinks they had the night before.
Yeah.
Right. And then he'll tell me I was down there for 4 hours and I made $85.
Yeah.
Man, it's terrible.
Rough.
Yep.
That's rough.
It's crazy. They're caring more about their drinking and their bachelorette parties down there than they are about the music anymore. And
absolutely.
I was telling someone a couple of years ago, if Nashville ain't careful, Austin's going to come right in here and steal that music scene away, because Austin, Texas has been blowing up with music, dude.
Yep.
So,
agreed.
But it's just crazy, man. So in 2021, you released your EP, Last of a Dying Breed, which debuted at number 3 on the iTunes charts. Tell me a little bit about just kind of the blood, sweat, and tears you put into this EP, just making this, and kind of where it came from, man.
Man, this one was a long time coming, really. I put out my self-titled EP, and then I put out Pray, and then I waited, and I put some stuff on my Pray EP that I didn't really care too much about, but I just put it on there just to put it on there and have 6 songs, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, man, I wanted it to be a lot of stories, and every song on there is a story. There's a song on there called Poking Holes. A lot of people might think it's about a breakup, which it kind of is, but that song's about pretty much my management when I was with Billy, because I felt like I had them in my boat, you know what I mean? Like they were in my ship and they were back there poking holes in it. There's a song on there, Last of a Dying Breed. I mean, that is me. To me, I feel like that is me to a T. I try and be a good gentleman that my parents would be proud of. And Megan was telling me all these nice things that I do. She just looked at me and she's like, I just feel like you're the last of a dying breed. And I was like, oh my God. Well, we pulled the car over. I'm not even kidding. We pulled the car over and we wrote that song on the interstate with my flashers on as soon as she said that.
Wow, that's cool.
You gave her songwriting credit on it, right?
She's got 2 baby credits.
Yeah.
There you go.
But yeah, man, I was really, really, really proud of the EP Last of a Dying Breed, man, and it did really well for us.
Nice, dude.
Very cool.
So what does 2023 look like for you, man? You're gonna be doing a lot more touring and some more music coming out. What's up the sleeve this year, man?
I'm hoping that we're going to be just as busy as we were last year, if not a little more busy. I've got some new material that I'm working on. I'm hopefully going to be headed back down to Nashville to do some more writing and recording. releasing a few singles this year.
Nice.
Man, it's going to be a good year.
We do writers rounds down there. So if you're ever down there, you're going to have to let us know when you're down there. Cause if we have 4 writers rounds coming up in 2023, maybe we could get you on one of them.
Oh,
So yeah, man.
That'd be
So
amazing.
yeah,
We
if
would
you're ever
love
down
that.
there, we'd love to have you part of one. We actually almost had Billy Ray's kid on one of them, Brayson Cyrus. He might come out and play one. Yeah. So he started writing too. And he was writing with one of our buddies, JD Eagleson. So
yeah.
but
Nice.
yeah, small world when it comes down to it though, man. It's
For sure.
definitely in Nashville. It's a really small
It's
world.
a good community.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. For
Yeah,
sure.
but we host them
Aside
at
from the
Live Oak.
partying
So yeah.
side. The tourist
Well,
side.
that's why we host our
Like I feel like
rounds.
there's 2 Nashvilles. There's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
There's-
the tourist Nashville, and then there's
We're up on like Music Row. We host them at Live Oak on Music Row out there by like where Tin Roof and everything is. So you got
Yep.
that part of Nashville, then you got the downtown. Like we don't go downtown.
I don't.
barely.
Yeah, we never go that way.
Right.
Like
Yep.
we gotta be desperate to
Not
go
our
downtown.
scene.
Yeah.
Right. Agree. Like anytime I come into town with the kids or some friends, it's always we don't really hit up Broadway. We'll hit up like Midtown,
Mhm.
Yeah.
Umbria and stuff like that.
Yep. So you play Wisconsin a lot, man. What's in the water up there? What do you love about Wisconsin? God, I mean, every time we met, I got found out about you by Brooke. She interviewed you
Yeah.
for the Gary Allen show, and she does a lot of interviews with us. She's an amazing writer, and so honored to have her. But you play a lot of Wisconsin shows, man. You're from Indiana, right? So
Yep, I am.
what's in the water in Wisconsin? What keeps bringing you back?
So my new manager now that he took over about 4 years ago when I walked away from Billy. And the odd thing is I met him at a Billy show that we were doing because he was the promoter on it.
Nice.
And we just kind of stayed in touch. And once I left Billy, I'd hit him up and I was like, hey, I have no connections to the business side of music. You're the only guy I know. Can you like point me in the right direction? And he's like, well, I don't really know what I'm doing, but man, I can help you out until you find like a real manager.
Yeah.
Dude, that was 4 years ago.
Yeah. You know, sometimes it's nice to just figure it out. As long as you've got somebody to figure it out as you go with,
Yeah.
if you trust them,
Yep.
you
Yep.
can figure it out. Fake it
Yep.
till you make it. We always say, fake it till
Right.
you make it. Just
Yep.
That's
But
what I'm doing
he's,
with concert photography.
we're doing the same thing. We're faking it, you know.
That's what I'm
Right.
doing with my concert photography, man. I picked up a camera again. I'm like, I'm just gonna throw my hat in there and start taking some pictures. And next thing I know, I'm getting people like Jason Isabel and stuff sharing my photos. I'm like, whoa, this is amazing.
Killer.
Yeah, dude.
Dude,
So
that's
just
killer. But
really cool stuff. So
yeah.
Wow.
But anyway, my manager's from Wisconsin and he's got tons of connections up there.
I
And
love it.
I'm sure y'all are aware that there are so many music festivals up in Wisconsin.
Yep.
It's insane.
Yeah.
We met at Country
We
Thunder.
met at a Wisconsin music
Yeah.
festival.
Right.
That's where we met.
Like,
So
dude, there are
we're right between Chicago and Milwaukee, right? We're like dead in the center of the two. So we'll have to get out and see one at some time, man. At least get out there. I know you play up by the Dells a lot and stuff. What was that Crystal
Yeah.
Grand up there? I think it's the theater. It's one of my favorite
played
theaters.
there a few times. I'm actually playing in Milwaukee in 2 weeks, I think,
Oh, really? Where at?
at a place called the Pyramid Event Center,
Okay.
I think.
I'll have to
It's
look
just
that-
outside Milwaukee, I believe.
I
I'll have
don't
to
think
look
I've
at-
heard the pyramid.
Yeah, I'll have to look that up, man. And we'll have to see what we got going on. Maybe we'll try to get up there and see a show or something if we can.
Please do. That'd be great.
That'd be awesome. We love that.
Somebody says all they can think of when they hear Wisconsin is extreme cold. Yes, it gets cold.
It hasn't been
And
yet.
cold.
It's
cheese
cold
and-
and snowy.
Cold and
Right.
cheese, yes, and
Oh,
beer.
and cheese and beer. Cheese and beer.
Beer, man.
Beer dip.
Yeah, back when I used to drink, man, I was a Spotted Cow guy, man. I would go up there and
Yeah.
get some Spotted Cow. Lake Mills at the Pyramid Event Center venue in February 4th. All right, well, look at that. Thanks for that.
That's it.
Oh,
Yeah.
we
All
have,
right.
do we have no February 2nd? We have parent teacher conferences.
Yeah. 4th is
Okay.
a Friday. We might have to look at that. We might have to try to come up there for that
Okay.
show. I like that. All right, we're gonna move over to our Powered by Podex section. It's our sponsored section of the night. Earlier tonight, I pulled out 2 cards. The first one is when you find yourself in doubt, what are a few steps you can take in the right direction?
Oh. Talk to God.
Huh?
That's
Wow.
it. If
Yeah.
I'm ever in doubt, man, I'll hit my knees and I'll pray
Get your
about it.
answers.
Yeah.
I do that with my grandfather all the time, man. Whenever I need something, I always ask him, be like, all right, Papa. Like
Right.
him and I will have that talk. So
Yep.
I get that, man. All right. And our second one, is there anything about the way you were raised that you hope to do differently with your kids? So for example, for me, like my parents never took me to the city. I lived an hour outside Chicago growing up, and my dad was always just scared to go to the city. So for me, I always take my kids to Chicago. We go what 2-3 times a summer. We'll go to Chicago and just do something.
The good parts.
Yeah,
We are good parents, I promise.
Yeah. But like we'll take them down, we'll take them to sporting events, we'll do stuff with them. So that's something I do differently. But is there anything that you want to do differently with your kids?
Man, honestly, I had an incredible childhood. If I can do half of what my parents did for me, I will win. Dude, I mean, we grew up camping. And then we had a lake cottage. We got rid of the camper and we were up at the lakes all the time. I have 2 older brothers and we were very heavily involved in sports. I don't know how my parents did it, to be honest. Like the way that we ran around as kids doing sports and going to the lake and camping. And then we went to concerts and I had such a good childhood. I hope I can provide that for my kids.
I love that, man. That's the same thing. Hey, I always saw that meme where it says like you're in your mid 30s or 40s and you always thought your parents had it all figured out, and you just know that they were just living it day by day, just like we're doing it now with our kids. So that's the best we can do, is just go day by day and hope they're still hope we didn't kill them, right?
Right.
For sure.
Quality time.
Right. Hope they keep breathing.
That's why when we're doing this show, if everybody ever hears like conduit falling or any big noises, our kids' room's right above our head and we have conduit all over it, and they'll jump and play video games and just shakes rafters all over the place. So it's always fun. All right, this next part of the show, man, before we move on, it's actually one of my favorite parts. I'm gonna play like 5 or 6 seconds of a song. First memory you have with that song. We've already kind of grazed over a couple of them, so we'll see. Go ahead and hit that yellow one. It's cold in this house and I ain't going out to chop. So when you hear Jason Isbell, man, cover me up. Where does it take you, man? I think you did cover the song or something once. That I saw that. Where's that take you?
So, dude, that takes me back to living by myself down in White Bluff, Tennessee. I found a old 60s record player cabinet that had like the 8-track player in it, you know. And one of the first albums I bought was that Jason Isbell. I think that's on Southeastern, maybe. I'm not positive. And I would throw that record on and just listen to that. I would lay on my couch and just go into La La Land, listening to that record right there. And man, he's such an incredible songwriter, but that takes me right back to my house out in White Bluff, Tennessee.
Yeah, just amazing, dude. I love that. Love that. All right, hit the green one. This is going to be a good one here for us, for you and I both. Nirvana, Heart-Shaped Box, man. When you hear that song, where's it take you, dude? What memory?
Sitting at Pizza King in high school after a football game.
Hell yeah.
They had
so specific. Love
they
it.
had they had a jukebox inside this Pizza King, and after every home football game, this is where we went, and we just kind of chilled after the game. We'd get some pizza, and they had that jukebox, and man, we'd play Nirvana and Stone Temple Pilots. 100%, man. I can smell the Pizza King right now.
Oh, I love that. Isn't it awesome how music does that though? Like
well, that's why I love this section, because it brings back memories. You hear that song, and that's why I try to research especially this part and try to find songs from like maybe your high school days or something that I know relatable. You might have a little thing too. So go ahead and hit the yellow one. This is gonna be a fun one too. Yellow one.
Okay, sorry.
I had to throw in a Billy Ray. But it's awesome that you said earlier when we were talking, you said that one of your favorite songs was Some Gay Ball playing with him, because that was always one of mine. So when you hear that song, man, where does it take you?
Right back with Billy, playing those shows, man. What I loved also about Billy was after every single show, he would stick around and he would shake every hand. He would sign every piece of paper that somebody wanted signed, but it never failed. There was always at least one, if not 10 veterans in the crowd that would come up in tears and they would thank him for that song. And that was incredible. That song takes me back to seeing these veterans come up to him. And
I loved when they remixed it with like Jamie Johns and everything else. That was a cool version of the song too. I love it. But man, that song has always resonated with me ever since the days of Billy Ray, man. I love that. All right, the last one we got. This one's going to take you way back.
Oh yeah.
Midnight Rider, man. Allman Brothers. When you hear that song, where's it taking you?
Sitting in my dad's truck watching him bang the hell out of his steering wheel.
I do that all the time with my music.
For real.
I'm always banging something in my car.
I always said my dad's a dashboard drummer. Anytime we would go anywhere, he would have that. It was a tape deck in the truck. And Marshall Tucker was one of his favorites. Marshall Tucker and Allman Brothers. And dude, he would play Can't You See?
Yes.
And man, he would just bang on that steering wheel. And that's something I'll always remember. I tell that story at shows today because I cover that song.
Do you would he sing along to all the songs at the top of his he couldn't sing?
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you listen to Eric Church a lot. Listen to a song called Hippie Radio by Eric Church, man. It'll take you back to those days because that song's just about being in the car, your dad playing those old hippie songs, man. I used to love that because my dad would do the same thing. He was a big Supertramp guy too. He played all the Supertramp songs and stuff like that. But he played Allman Brothers and a lot of those old songs like Leonard Skinner. Man, I love that stuff. And they don't make that like that anymore. It ain't Southern rock, I think, is this kind of you don't have much, and that's why I love that. Well, I mean, you have people like Derek bringing it back. You have that, and that's why I love about you, man, about your music and your style. You're bringing that sound back. So,
well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Before we let you go and get you to play a song, we're going to put you on the hot seat real quick. So it's kind of like what we just did with the songs. But the first thing that comes to mind on this question, just spit it out. The first CD or vinyl you ever purchased.
First CD or vinyl that I ever purchased. I think the first CD I ever bought was Candlebox.
Nice, dude. Mine was Soul Asylum. It was a cassette, though. So your best vacation location. If you're going to go somewhere, you're going to go on vacation, where are you going, man? Where's your first pick?
Man, I loved Australia.
Oh, dude. I have a cousin in Australia. I'd love to go.
Yeah, loved Australia or Hawaii.
So other than Pizza King, you can't pick that one because you already mentioned them. Who has the best pizza you've ever had?
Oh, man. I can't even remember the name of it. Actually, Emmy Squared in Nashville.
Nice. All right.
Emmy Squared.
What kind of contest would be fun to judge?
Songwriting contest.
Ooh, that'd be good. If you could live in any time period, when would it be?
70s.
70s? Nice. 90s. I'd go back to the 90s with that music, dude. I loved it. What's the best Wi-Fi name you've ever seen? There's some fun ones out there.
Oh, what was it, like Cut Your Grass, John? And then like other neighbors would get on there and like, yeah, John, cut your grass. And then another Wi-Fi name would be like, what are you doing, John?
That's hilarious. That might be one of the best ones we've gotten so far. What's the oldest thing you own? So the oldest thing you own may be something nostalgic you have or something. What's the oldest thing you have?
I would probably say I've got an old Graphenola player.
Okay.
Which is like those crank.
Like the old record players, like crank record
players. And it's from 1904, I think.
Ooh, that is awesome.
Yeah,
man.
Sounds incredible. I got a lot of like Frank Sinatra records for it.
Wow.
Dude, that is awesome.
It sounds so good.
What chore do you not like doing?
Oh, laundry.
So I do the laundry.
Aaron
I just won't fold it. I just won't fold it.
I can't stand
he
laundry.
He dumps it on the kitchen table.
Yeah.
And then leaves it there.
Yeah. That's fun. All right. If you could relive any day in your life, what would it be? If you could go back any day, pick one day, what day would it be?
Man, that's hard to pick because I feel like I had such a cool, incredible life. But man, the feeling that I got watching my daughter being born, my first one, that was like a feeling that it's just so hard to explain unless you've been through it.
It's
you know,
every emotion you could think of.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
For
one-
sure.
Yeah. So our last question for this one, our last question of the night, man. You played Bridgestone, the Opry. You've got to do a lot of cool stuff. What's
Yeah.
still on your bucket list, your musical bucket list? What's something you still, before you hang up those boots and say you're good, you're done? What's something you want to accomplish?
Well, there's two really. I've played the Opry, but I want to play it being invited for myself, not with Billy.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The other one would probably be like the Ryman.
Nice, dude. Hell yeah, dude. You'll get there, dude.
Mhm.
You're working your ass off, man.
We'll get there.
You worked your ass off last year, and you're tough, dude. You'll get there for sure. I know.
Appreciate it.
Well, before we let you go, man, can we get a song tonight and kind of give us a little backstory of the song?
Yeah. So I'll do a brand new one if you don't
All
mind.
right. We'll give you the stage, buddy.
Played it out at very many shows, but so Megan and I have these conversations all the time about me being gone. And in the wintertime, I tend to slow down quite a bit, and I can very easily slip into like a little minor depression where I'm down and I'm out. And Megan can see it. My kids see it. They feel it. And I hate that it affects my family. And a lot of it too is when I get down like that, I don't feel like writing at all. I don't even want to pick up a guitar. And I was telling Megan one day, like, I wish that there was like, I want to write this song that's about what I live. Like I feel like I'm in this prison that I could get out of at any time. I could go back to driving a truck. I drove a truck for 15 years, and I could go back to doing that and be just fine. And I was telling her about it, and like, it's like this own prison. And I thought, oh man, so when you write songs in bars, and it's like there's bars in prison, and it's like, man, I'm just living life behind bars. So that's where this song come from. Well, I met the devil down in Nashville. I sold my soul locked up with no shot of parole. And this is my life, it's what I chose to be. I sing these songs, but the devil's got a hold of me. Life on the road, burning town to town. We set it all up to tear it all back down. And I miss my woman, I miss my kids. It tears me up to be away from them. And I'm sorry for these ups and downs, this same old ride going around and around. But this dream of mine has took me far, but it's cost me life, locked up behind bars. And this is what I asked for, it's what I got. All I wanted, so I gave it my best shot. And the devil, he ain't gonna win, 'cause the good Lord only knows where I've been. So I'll count the cost of these ups and downs, this life I'm living, going town to town. And I'm sorry for these ups and downs, this same old ride, going around and around. But this dream of mine has took me far, but it's cost me life, locked up behind bars. And I'm sorry for these ups and downs, this same old ride, going around and around. But this dream of mine has took me far, but it's cost me life locked up behind bars.
Dude, that was awesome,
Fantastic.
man.
Something like that.
Oh
Loved it.
man, I was over here. It's like
Absolutely loved
I love it because like I watch as we play, so it shows the lyrics like as you're singing them. So like I always could follow along, and that's why I love it because I can actually dig into the song. I'm like, all right,
Right.
dude, that's
Right
awesome.
on. Well,
That's, man, I gotta get to a show soon, man, because that just made me
Please
want to get
do.
out and see you live, dude.
Brooke
So
was right. That's awesome.
well, buddy, we really appreciate it. I know we kept you a little bit longer than normal. We appreciate it, but this is an awesome talk tonight, so I couldn't let you go.
Right on.
So,
Thank you guys so much for having me, man. I appreciate it very much. So, and seriously, if you ever want to come to the show, man, you hit me up and let me know.
Well, I might
Absolutely.
have to come out and bring my camera sometime and see if I
Do some
can get
photos
some
for
pictures
ya.
or something for you sometime or whatever. We'll have to write up another
Free
story
pictures.
too.
What was that?
What was that, buddy?
I would love for you to do some free pictures.
Yeah,
Yes, there you
anytime,
go.
dude. Anytime.
We got
Anytime,
you.
buddy. But no, honestly, it was an honor having you on the show tonight, man. We really appreciate it. And thank you for spending some time with us and talking about your,
Right on.
your
Thank
story,
you.
dude. And so you have a great night, man. We'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate it. God bless y'all. We'll see you.
All right, buddy.
Bye.
Dude, that was awesome.
It
He was so much fun.
He was fantastic. I loved that.
Brooke,
I
if you're
loved
still
him.
watching, man, thank you for introducing me to this guy because he is amazing. So I loved like researching and digging into like his story because that's how I found out the whole Billy Ray Cyrus thing
Yeah.
about this. I'm like,
Yeah.
damn, with this guy and I kind of got connected over Billy Ray and just love it because that's kind of like my first musical love. I always say with Billy Ray Cyrus.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
I was taking a picture of you in roller skates.
Oh, I love that. Oh,
and a
I
Billy
know.
Ray shirt too.
I love that he I love that he's doing his own thing now. I
Mhm.
think that's fantastic.
I love that like the advice he got too and stuff
Mhm.
about doing that and
Yeah.
man, it could
Good
the
things
right
are coming for him for sure.
yeah,
You
and
can
the right
tell.
things happened when it needed to be, and he got out there and
Yeah.
doing his thing again. So
Yeah, he'll do great things for sure. Here
can't
he
wait,
is.
can't wait to go see him live.
I
We'll have to
know.
go see him live sometime.
I know. I'm really excited actually.
I tell you, he has like that Aaron Lewis rocker type country
Yeah.
vibe to him, and that's what I love about it
Yeah.
about the guy.
But I really liked him
yeah. Oh, he's definitely
for sure.
definitely.
So thank you guys for hanging out for so long with us.
a little longer show
It
than
was a
normal,
little
but I
longer
love
than
it.
normal,
Yeah.
but it was a great show and a lot of great interaction. You guys are fantastic. You had some great questions and comments. So
It was a lot
thanks
of
for
fun.
sticking around with us.
We actually did. Jillian and I did a podcast last week. That wasn't ours. It was Jim
Boots and
Belial
Whis-
from Boots and Whiskey.
Mhm.
It'll be coming out in February. And I think it hit over the 2-hour mark. We were just sitting there. We just
Oh my
couldn't.
goodness,
We couldn't stop talking. We were having so much fun.
So it's
Well,
nice
thank
to
you
be
so
able to talk to
much. But thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for joining Derek on his journey tonight and how he talked about everything. We had a blast. Really getting to talk with everybody tonight. So join us next week. We have another amazing show coming. We cannot wait. This guy, man, if you don't know who's coming next week, you got to look into him. So we cannot wait for this show. But we'll see you guys then.
You guys have a good night.
Take care.
The Melodies and Memories podcast with Jillian and Aaron Schreiber, brought to you by Arlo Revolution. As we close the book on another chapter, remember, music gives us soul to the universe, wings to the mind, flight to the imagination, and life to everything. Next week, Jillian and Aaron connect more melodies and memories with the fans and artists they love. Thank you for being a part of this musical journey, and we will see you next time on the Melodies and Memories podcast with Jillian and Aaron Schreiber.